Hey everyone, how you doing out there? It's Joe and Darren over at Urban Hillsides Real Estate with another thrilling edition of Real Estate Reality. Darren, how you doing out there?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Loving the weather, man.
Right, we got past that rain. Thank God.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, look guys, we've been away for a while. We are back and we've got a subject that we feel is really good, and we're naming it the 21st Century Duplex. And there's a lot to unpack there, but Darren, I think you've got some answers for us. So, what is a 21st century duplex, Darren?
Well, simply put, the shortest version,
Mm,
it's a house plus an ADU, right?
right.
In the
Hmm.
past, people were building duplexes with the intention of building a duplex, or maybe they wanted to build a second house on their lot. Nowadays, with today's ADU laws, every house anywhere in the entire state can become a duplex and is being encouraged to become a
Yeah.
duplex and or maybe even a triplex if you really want to push it.
Right.
Um, so what the modern duplex, why we call it a modern duplex, is that it offers different things that yesterday's duplex didn't. First off, we'll talk about neighborhood. The duplex areas that had duplexes and multi-units, there just seem to be certain specific locations. When we get a client and it's like they want to look for a duplex, we're like, well, these are your area options, right? You're not going to
Right.
find it in this area or in this pocket or anywhere. But
Right.
nowadays, it's anywhere. They're
Right.
they're available in all neighborhoods as long as people are converting and doing ADUs, right?
Yep.
There are some different regulations around them, but we're not going to go down that path. But so they can end up in any neighborhood. The second thing that's huge and why we labeled it the modern or the 21st century
Mm,
duplex is that you have a primary house at the scale and the size of a primary house. One of the biggest
right.
issues with buying a duplex, if you want to own or occupy a unit, is that often each unit is one bedroom, one bath,
Small.
one
Yeah.
bedroom, one bath at best. Doesn't have a
Right.
private yard. Now you're getting a house with a secondary, smaller structure. Clearly, there's a distinction
Hmm.
between the two. And depending on how it was built and how somebody, whether it was a garage conversion or a basement or just a full build, access and flow, will need to be looked at and studied. But you can get a bigger house and in a lot more neighborhoods, in all neighborhoods. And that's just something we didn't have the whole time
Right.
we've been selling real estate, didn't exist.
And I just want to make a distinction too. The idea of the modern duplex, we're talking about these exist now,
They do exist. So
or
they
or you're building.
or you're building. And that is another approach, although a more difficult approach, I must say. It just
Sure.
requires more
Sure.
cash if you buy a house in
Right.
advance. Sometimes people are looking for multi units because maybe they don't spend 100% of their time at home. They just move around and they're away. So they want the supplemental income, or maybe they just needed to get into a house at the price of
Right.
houses these days. So, even the financing laws are favorable towards house plus ADU compared to a true duplex. So there really are a lot of advantages, but clearly it's a more affordable way to get into a house. And
Hmm.
one thing to always keep in mind, and it's really important to grasp this, and that is you become a landlord. Now you can hire someone to do that. If you're
Hmm.
just not up for it, and we're working hard to always stay on top of available property management companies, but it's that simple. For one unit, you can hire a management company if you don't want to deal with it, if you really don't want to
Right.
be a landlord.
Right.
So it really is a win-win on so many levels. So we wanted to make sure we framed it that way, and so that people will consider it.
Right. And then the other consideration, of course, is when you do get your loan, they will consider that rent as income. It'll help your loan,
They
your buying
do.
power.
It does help your buying power, and that is something. It's a great point, maybe to finish up on here, Joe. And that
Mm,
is, look, there's always a sacrifice to be made for most people when they're buying a home on some level. It's neighborhood, it's size, it's
right.
condition, it's something. So this is another, well, maybe you can get a lot of those other things, but you'll sacrifice having a second person living on your piece of land, right? If that works for
Right.
you personally. But when you qualify for a purchase, if you're purchasing just for yourself, it's strictly your
Mhm.
income and what you can afford to pay. As soon as you go for
Right.
units where there's income, you can move up. And in most cases, we say to people, so assume half the rent. If you're going to get a bigger loan, it could be a little scarier. And yes, maybe things go wrong.
Mhm.
So maybe you're comfortable paying $4,000 a month when all is said and done. But you can generate $1,500 in rent. Well, make it so that you're comfortable with 45 or 47, so that you've really pushed above that, and you can have
Mhm.
a little money put aside. It's actually better for you still. It'll be
Right.
cheaper. Yeah.
Now, two other points as I keep throwing wrenches in the engine here. So, and it's a little foggy, I know, and it's fairly new. You might have more insight into this, but um, in the future, you can subdivide your property, right, and sell that
Yeah.
other unit separately. That's what
You've
they're
got
talking about.
so many options. So this is another thing. People are buying smaller units on a TIC, right? That
Hmm.
exists now, and it's very
Right.
easy. Yes, you can sell two separate structures without any major changes or subdivisions needed. But in addition to that, as you mentioned, they're trying to. There's new subdivision laws that will allow you to sell separately on how they're set up. And then the third option there, once you have options, because you have more options in these scenarios,
Hmm.
um, and a lot of people will look at it this way. Well, this is fine for now, and a lot of people are coming from apartments to buy a house
Yeah.
anyways, and I'll
Yeah.
buy my single family home in the future and keep this.
I was going to mention that next. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not the end all be all, but it's a great start if you're open to it, I think. Right.
absolutely is. And look, there. I'll tell you one ideal scenario or two
Mm.
ideal scenarios, right? And these are not they're not that easy to find, but they exist. Buying it on a corner lot, if you can imagine. So you have an
Hmm.
entrance on one side of the street, and the
Uh,
garage has it doesn't even feel like a duplex, man. You put a fence
right.
up, or the other one is a street to street lot, which definitely exists in a lot of the neighborhoods we serve. And the
Right.
garage is access from one street and the house is from the other. It really doesn't feel like a multi unit environment at all. It's completely
Yeah.
divided and separated. So,
Yeah. Wow. Well, great stuff. As you can tell, there are a lot of ways to cut this thing up. If you have questions about it, you're curious, certainly contact us, let us know, and we can figure it out with you. Might be a good choice. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a great one. Bye now.
bye.
Okay. All right. Well, that worked. Um, okay. Well, let me send you another link. Did you feel all right with that one?
Felt fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Feels good
It's
being
just
on video again, man.
it's just alluring enough, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I will set up another one and I'll send you the link.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, man.
What's
All right.
what's the next one you want to do? We'll do valet.
Yeah, let's do ballet.
Okay. All right.
We can chat about it right now if you want. Basically, we're free. Well, I mean, you've set it
Oh,
up
here.
well
Let me end this
in
recording.
the
I forgot.
recording. Yeah.